Okay, this is week 13, and as you can imagine, the pedal has really hit the metal now. Okay, week 13 out of 16. Whoa. All right. So you're writing your research paper this week. You're preparing a draft, and you're going to turn that in at the end of the week to the peer review discussion forum. And next week, Thanksgiving week, you guys are going to look back and forth at each other's papers, try to learn something from each other, and then you're going to turn in a polished draft to me at the end of Thanksgiving week. Okay. It's very important that you pay attention this week, that you pay attention to the readings very carefully. If you haven't discovered it by now, make sure you go to the welcome folder and look at the link called Major Assignments. And the last page of that link, a Word document, tells you precisely what I'm looking for in this argued position, as I call it. That's very, very critical that you know what I'm looking for. Make sure you have done all the readings. They're listed there, plus, of course, the Unit 3 module lists all the readings. Make sure you cover those thoroughly. I've also presented for you a sample document. If you'll go down into the Unit 3 material and on the left-hand side and go into the assignments themselves, you'll see an item called sample paper. Let me go there myself, please. Excuse me, home page. Need to get back to the learning units. Okay, presenting arguments. It's item 7.5. It gives you a sample research paper right out of your textbook. I really like that sample. It's for a 7-page research paper. All you need is 5 pages plus the works cited. But it shows you visually exactly what I'm looking for. Your paper needs to look like this, okay? Some of the things you'll notice as you look it over, besides the very nice formatting, which of course is mandatory, you'll also notice that every paragraph begins with a pretty direct topic sentence. Tells you very clearly what the paragraph is going to be about. And then if you notice, the paragraph sticks to that topic throughout the entire paragraph. It doesn't wander off to a new paragraph. You'll also notice that every paragraph has cited material in it. That this is not an editorial, this is a well-developed research paper, and every paragraph uses examples, uses expert testimony, uses evidence from well-cited sources. That's critical, that every paragraph of your paper be cited, other than the introduction and the conclusion. I notice this paper has a citation and introduction. Generally, that's not necessary. Okay, you kind of own the introduction and you own the conclusion. I think in this case they were using a direct quote to help create some interest, and of course you have to cite that. But generally, you don't have to provide evidence in a introduction of a research paper. So other than the introduction and conclusion, I do expect to see cited material in every single solitary paragraph. I do have a rubric. If you look at your syllabus on page, and it's the same rubric I've used all along for all of the assessment. On page 5 of your syllabus, it tells you exactly what I'm looking for in a paper. This is kind of a rubric in reverse. I take off points, don't add points. So for instance, if you turn the paper and it's short, you lose 10 points. Now short papers, to me they just are examples of being lazy, all right? Or examples of sort of not knowing how to develop paragraphs, okay? You don't generally have, if you've written your paper and you're short, that doesn't mean that I got to add more crap to it. You don't have to do that, okay? Instead, you need to go through and look at each paragraph and say, have I really developed this? Is this paragraph really about 2 or 3 different topics? Do I need to slow down, break out this paragraph into each of its topics, and develop each of its topics? Very often, particularly W131 writers, kind of want to race through things. You don't slow down and spend a lot of time developing a particular point before you move on to the next point. You just start to jumble one point after another because I don't know if you're nervous or what. Okay, so slow down, develop your points, point by point. Use plenty of evidence, plenty of examples. Use some direct expert testimony, some statistics, that kind of thing. Develop your thoughts before you move on to the next thought. That's how you reach page length. Of course, I'm always looking for clear topic sentences. We've covered that plenty. The topic sentence defines the paragraph. It does not. Topic sentence is not source material. It's the point that you're going to make, the material that you're planning on covering in this particular paragraph. All right. Paragraph focus, it means it just simply relates to the topic sentence always. Everything in it relates to the topic sentence. Paragraph development, I sort of talked about that. That's critical. Did you spend the time developing your topic, all right, before you raced on to something else? Do you have the evidence? Do you have the expert testimony? Do you have the examples? Have you shown the reader what you mean? Tone and detail, we've talked about that a lot. No repetition, that kind of thing. Quality of the sources, of course, very important. Did you just rely on newspaper sources here, or do you have really authentic, expert testimony? The use of source material, are your paragraphs well supported? Okay, item 8, critical thinking. Are you making leaps in logic, leaps in judgment? I've looked at some of your outlines and have caught some of that. If your paper's about how parents can make a better impact in education, don't start ranting at the very end about how terrible the teachers' unions are, that kind of thing. Don't do that. Don't make these big generalized leaps, okay? Maybe some teachers' unions are terrible, many others aren't, all right? Many public schools are not failing. Don't say all public schools are failing. Many are not failing. The majority of them are not failing, okay? So don't make these huge kind of leaps that you hear on television or from talk radio, that kind of thing. Analysis, are you making meaning of the information, right? Are you just dumping it all in there and letting the reader try to sort it out, or are you sorting it out for them? That's what analysis is. Are your quotes well integrated? According to so-and-so, quote, such and such happened, okay? How's your citing? Please go back and look at the comments I made in your annotated bibs. Please refer to the material that I sent you about that. That's critical. I don't want to have to be making those same comments over again. That'll annoy me and I'll take off more points, all right? Not fewer points. Introduction, thesis statement. As I've been working on the outlines today, and I'll finish them up by tomorrow, you know, I agree. Your thesis statement is not locked in stone. Even your outline is not locked in stone. Those are working documents. And very often your thesis statement kind of becomes more apparent to you, or at least a polished version of it becomes more apparent to you as you get the paper written. All right, that's no problem. The conclusion, that's very simple. Conclusion and introductions, they reflect each other, right? If you're struggling with either of those two issues, go ahead and write the body of the paper, get the body of the paper written, then come back and work on the introduction. Generally, if you write the body of the paper, you'll discover your conclusion. All right, so, oh my God, that's what I'm concluding. Then you can go back and kind of formulate the introduction out of the conclusion. If you have any questions about that, go to your textbook, go to the index, look up introduction, look up conclusion. You'll be fine, okay? Organization, item 14. This is in your syllabus, this rubric, by the way. Organization just means does the paper feel organized? Did it stick to your thesis statement? Are your paragraphs well focused? And do they unfold in some kind of a logical sequence without doubling back on themselves? That's all organization is. Usually the good transitions, you know, on the one hand, on the other hand, or example, this example, that example, little phrases like that, you know, that helps keep the paper organized so the reader kind of knows the direction that you're going. And transitions and organization, to me, they're very similar. Then last but not least, surface features, you know, how's your language? Are you cluttering it up with unnecessary words? How's the tone? How might you run on sentences? That kind of thing. Okay, so I know you can do this. I'll have the outlines done by Tuesday afternoon. I'm pleased by what I'm seeing. I'm pleased for the most part by the level of detail. Don't worry too much if your thesis statement isn't perfect today. Okay, by the time you write your paper and turn that draft in for the peer review Sunday night, it should be polished by that point. Then after you guys go back and forth next week, and I'll talk to you a little bit next week about this, I expect you to turn into me a polished draft. If you have any questions, I'm available by email all week long. Please do the readings, okay? Please look at the sample paper, item 7.5 learning module. I really like that sample paper. Make sure, of course, you've covered the discussions. I think you'll be in good shape.